All right, we are gonna get back to protein and talk a little bit more about it today. Protein allows your body to recover, grow, build, and repair muscle. This is key because if you're gonna try to lose weight and you're gonna go into caloric deficit, it's very easy to start eating away at your muscle mass. And you should know that the more muscle mass that you have, the more calories you're gonna burn at rest. So muscle is important in your journey. You wanna be stronger, you wanna burn the most calories possible at rest. So in losing weight, you wanna do all that you can do to not lose muscle mass. So the protein primarily comes from meats and dairy, but in those two categories, you wanna stick with lean meats and lean dairy, because the fatty stuff is high in saturated fat, which is gonna increase your risk for heart disease. So stay away from dark meats, fatty cuts, and high fat dairy. You're gonna lean more towards chicken breast, turkey, deli meats are often lean cuts. Just be cognizant, if you're gonna make burgers for dinner, pick a 93-7 mix instead of an 80-20. Little swaps can save you tons of calories. So again, I had mentioned yesterday to try to shoot for at least 100 grams of protein a day in your diet. And I don't know if any of you actually tried to measure this over the past 24 hours, but I did want to give you some tips on how to potentially meet those numbers and increase what your current intake is. So starting my day off in the morning, I always have coffee. And in my coffee, Fairlife milk is my go-to milk. It's the way that they pasteurize and filter this milk allows for more protein and less carbohydrates than the other milks out there. So it does cost a little bit more, but it's well worth it. And in a cup, it's 6 carbs and 13 grams of protein. So generally in my 2 cups of coffee, I average total about half a cup of milk, which gives me an extra 6.5 grams of protein just from the milk that I put in my coffee. Then I add to that collagen peptides. This became kind of trendy in the hair, skin, and nail world, and I tried it out for those reasons, but a big bonus is that in the 2-scoop serving, you get 18 additional grams of protein in this flavorless powder. So it's just a little scoop. If you've never seen it before, it's like a white powder. It dissolves really well in warm beverages. You can do it in cold, but it works better, I think, in tea and coffee. So I put 2 scoops of this in my coffee, and here's another 18 grams. So 18 plus my 6.5 is 24.5 grams of protein just in my coffee. I'm racking it up. So then I do like to have oatmeal. Again, we're gonna talk more about carbohydrates tomorrow, but carbs are another essential part of our diet. So I get that in my oats, but I go for the protein oats just for the added protein. So these have an extra 10 grams of protein in a serving. That puts me up to 34 grams of protein in my breakfast. Then I like to add eggs. Eggs are an awesome source of protein. The fat is held in the yolk, so if you're trying to reduce fat, stick with whites. I put 2 whole eggs in my oatmeal, I mix it in, I microwave it for 2.5 minutes. It's a little bit more cakey, I would say, than oatmeal without egg in it, but the egg is essentially flavorless and it adds a lot of nutrition. So in one whole egg, let me find it here, there's 0 carbs, 6 grams of protein. So in my 2 eggs, that's 12 grams of protein. I think I said I was at 34. So that brings me up to 46 grams of protein in my breakfast, okay? Again, you don't need to do all of these things, but it's an awesome way to just start your day out. And like I said, the protein will help with satiety, so it'll keep you full longer, so you're not having that mid-morning crash where you're just looking through the pantry or whatever you've brought to work with you to snack on. Some other staples in my pantry. This is not a staple. This Wonderworks keto cereal. My girlfriend had asked me about this, so I just picked it up at Target to check it out. Cereal generally is filled with sugar, which is just a useless carb. It's not going to fuel your body, and you're going to crash quickly after eating that. This doesn't have so much sugar at all, and it does have 17 grams of protein in a cup. It has fat, 6 grams of fat. It was $8 for this box, and I didn't think that the flavor was great, but it has a good crunch. So personally, I think I may do this and add it to yogurt just for a little crunch. It was an interesting buy. I'm jury's still out on this, but I picked it up today. I thought I would share. Bars, protein bars are an excellent way to reach your protein in the day, and not all bars are built the same. So look at the nutrition label and look at the protein, fat, and carbs, and make sure that protein is the highest. That's tricky. One of my favorites are the Pure Protein bars. This is 20 grams of protein, 16 carbohydrates, and 7 grams of fat, and 190 calories. Be careful, there are bars that are 300 plus calories. A Snickers bar is only 250 calories. And if you're looking at, say, an 1,800 calorie day, 300 calories to a snack is a huge chunk of your day that could be something much more fulfilling. So I look for the biggest bang for my buck when I come to the protein bars. Pure Protein I like because I can just grab at Target, but the Built bar is 130 calories and similar protein and carbs. So that's one of my favorites, and that you can order on Amazon, or I think it's builtbar.com. That's a good one to check out. Another thing I often like to have is these Fairlife protein shakes. This is only 150 calories and it's 30 grams of protein, and it tastes like a milkshake. It's super good. Another trick you can do with this is put it in an ice cube tray and freeze it, and then pop them out and blend them up with like a little bit that's not frozen, and add in a banana, and you have like an ice cream or a milkshake that's really high protein and very tasty. This is good. I keep this in my car. Actually, I have a case in my trunk. So I generally have a pretty carb and protein heavy breakfast before I work out, and then I like to refuel with protein right afterward. So this is easy, on the go, awesome 30 grams of protein. Yogurt is another great, these fat-free and low-fat yogurts are an awesome source of protein. For the longest time, I was doing the Too Good yogurts because they only have 3 carbohydrates. So it is 2 grams of fat, 12 grams of protein. Great little snack. Then I switched it up and I started recently doing the Dannon Light and Fit. It has a few more carbs. Actually, the nutrition is not on this because it's in here. Still 80 calories, still 12 grams of protein, 8 carbohydrates. So a few more carbs, but with those carbs comes a little bit more flavor. So these I actually treat myself in the evening like a dessert. This happens to be cherry, and I put a little bit of crumbled graham cracker on it, and it tastes like cherry pie. So both of these, great. Also, low-fat cottage cheese is good. Part skim mozzarella cheese is good. So those, keep the dairy in mind. Also, just for on-the-go protein, these like beef sticks. Trader Joe's has a brand, I believe it's called Chomps, that's very good. When you're doing dried meat, just look for something with no nitrates added. But these are good, easy to throw in a bag and just pick up midday for a little added protein. I also generally like to have a wrap at lunch, and I tried like the Joseph's Lavish bread, which is a lower carb, pretty decent protein bread. It kind of tastes like cardboard to me, so it wasn't my favorite. This has become my favorite, the Mission Protein Wrap. In this wrap, it's 7 extra grams of protein and only 15 carbs. So if you start comparing different wraps, this is one of the better ones out there. And I think that, my kids eat them. I really think that it's very comparable to like a standard whole wheat wrap. So it's a plant-based protein. You can, by the way, get protein from plants. So peas and beans, they have protein in them. You don't have to be a meat eater. Also seafood. So we generally have salmon, cod, shrimp, scallops. We have all sorts of other things other than red meat to add to our protein in our week. So don't feel that, chicken and red meat is the way you have to go. Another little thing that I found that's kind of cool are these Quest protein chips. It's 5 carbs and 19 grams of protein in this little bag of chips, 140 calories. The texture is not going to be what you're used to, so I like to do like a walking taco with this, and I will do a lean ground beef with a taco mix, and I will put that in my bag and make my walking taco right in here, where my kids are using a bag of Doritos. So similar meals, not a big change, but it gives me that added protein. So they're kind of nice to have on hand. Any other things that I think of, I'll post. I just grabbed kind of what I happen to have on hand, but I just wanted to give you some ideas of how to start increasing that number of grams of protein. Okay, also in the next 24 hours, when you're kind of looking at your protein, also start looking at your carbohydrates. Like I said, I consume 40% of my calories from carbohydrates. Carbs are going to give you your energy. So be thinking about complex carbs, potatoes, grains, oats, and how they kind of play into your day. And tomorrow I'm going to share with you how I get my carb numbers and things that I recommend. That's all. Thanks.